Hello, my friends, and welcome to another devotional connection. I was reading a devotion today that kind of puzzled me a little bit, and I want to just try to explain it to you. It was called Praying the Names of God. And listen, there are thousands of names that God has. I just bought a book for a family member, and it was the names of God, and it was like the first 1,000 names of God. And I love that, right? I do. And I don't have any issue with somebody praying through the names of God. But I was just kind of dumbfounded by it for a couple of reasons. I want to share a couple of stories with you. My brother came to visit me, and we were over at a festival. And a friend of mine came up, and he had found out my family nickname, the name that my auntie gave me while I was still in the bassinet at the hospital. He had heard the name from somewhere, and he was calling me the name, and I said, "Don't do that. That's a family nickname. Only my family calls me that." And not thinking, he said it in front of my older brother. And my older brother gave him the sternest look. I said, "Don't ever call him that. You don't have the right to call him by that name." And the young man never did again. Um, I was thinking about the names that I've been called. There are people who know my name. There are people who know my nickname. There are people who know my old name. There are people who know my family name. And there are some people who don't know my name at all. And for some reason, those people seem to be the loudest. They come and they'll yell across a mall or across a restaurant, "Yo, Eric!" And they'll be talking to me. And they'll come up and approach me and talk to me as if my name is Eric. And sometimes, depending on what the situation is, I don't even correct them because it reminds me that I don't know them and they don't know me. Sometimes people will call me by a name I'm no longer go by. And that reminds me that they know me from the old life. They don't know the me now. And we're not that close. We're not in contact. And I come up upon this story on Matthew chapter 15 of the Canaanite woman who came to Jesus. Jesus is out trying to get away with his disciples, and he's in an area where people don't really know him, and he's intentionally there because he needs a break. And this Canaanite woman comes out, and she's looking for him. She's probably heard about the healing. She's probably heard about what he's done and been able to do, and she's looking for someone to talk to and someone to heal her child. And verses 21 through 28 says Jesus, after he had attempted to withdraw away from the leaders, he withdrew to the region of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a Canaanite woman from that region was crying out, "Have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David. My daughter is severely oppressed by a demon." And the Bible gives a curious, "But he did not answer her a word." That's his response to this royal name that she calls, "O Lord, Son of David." His royal name, the name that declares his lineage to his people. She calls him someone not of his people. She calls him by his royal name, and he does not utter her a word. And here's what I draw from that. Here's the point that I want to make. I don't want to be a PU Christian. What I mean by that is somebody who shows up and sits in the pews and doesn't do anything else. We take up space. We know about God. We hear about God. We sing about God, but we don't know God. We don't sing to God. We don't develop a relationship with God. And so we're always at this distance in the name that we call him. And then we go and try to use these fancy names and titles that he has well deserved and well earned, and people call him, but we don't really know him. We use these names to try to invoke a closeness or a presence or invoke favor from him, as if we say the right incantation or press the right buttons, he will do what we want him to do, be what we want him to be. As if we call him by the right name, he's in control. Or we're in control, rather. I was talking to my brother tonight and I said, man, this is crazy. What would it be if I came over to your house and walked in and addressed your wife as babe? And he immediately said, boy, you'd be out of pocket. You would be way out of line. You would have crossed the line. I said, right, because I don't know her like that. And by me invoking that name, that title that you call her, I am trying to invoke a closeness in the relationship. I'm not allowed to call her that. So why do we think that by calling God one of these names that we don't know him by, that we can play a game that we're not supposed to play? Instead of trying to figure out what name to call him, how about we get to know him? I have no problem calling Jesus my big brother. I've worked on and built and engaged in that kind of relationship with him. I have no problem calling Jesus daddy. Calling God daddy. Calling Jesus big bro. These are titles in the relationship that I have with them that I'm building and sometimes stray away from and sometimes fail. And yes, I call them by their royal names as well. But there's a closeness that they have built with me, and I in turn have tried to relay back to them. We have to work on being and getting to know God and being friends and building the relationship, and stop trying to invoke names that they have well earned and well deserved, but we don't know them as. Build a relationship where you can call them that name. I know many mothers. I only have one mom. I know many father figures. I only have one dad. I have many brothers, but I only have one brother. That's my big bro. So I encourage you today, build a relationship with God. Don't worry about titles and incantations and phrases and words, and those will come as you get to know him like that. You'll know him as the bridegroom. You'll know him as the Savior. You know him as the healer. You know him as the deliverer. You know him as peace, as joy, as unmerited favor, as love. You get to know him like that, and then you can call him by that name. Talk to you again soon.